Hi, everybody. This is Pete Delatorre, and welcome to BlockChain Talk. As you know, we're in Season 2, and today will be Session 6 of Season 2. This program is brought to you by CrowdPoint Technologies. My special guest today is Greg Fitzgerald. He is the Chief Strategy Officer for CrowdPoint Technologies, and the topic of today's discussion is cybersecurity and the blockchain. Let's sit back and watch that conversation. Okay, everyone, as promised, here with me today for the second time in 1 year is Greg Fitzgerald. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, doing fantastic. So glad to be with you again. Appreciate it.
Well, you were with us a year ago when we launched this series called BlockChain Talk. We were honored that you shared some incredible information that really got things started and planted the seed. We were on that broadcast with Sean, and there was a lot of great interaction, a lot of great information. As you know, we ran out of time. There's so much that we could have talked about, but hopefully today we will continue with that. Going back 1 year, we spoke about the fundamentals, the basics of cybersecurity and how it relates to blockchain. What I'd like for you to take a moment and do is to share with us briefly how the world was before blockchain as it relates to cybersecurity.
Sure. So cybersecurity has been the evolution, which has been kind of exposed more because of more devices, more things in general connecting to the network. And if you look kind of even just 30 years ago, it seems like a long time, but it's really not, in the sense that as a form of baseline, I mean, the iPad didn't even exist until 2010. Okay. And that was like consumer. Now everybody's using iPads for watching movies, doing business, and that translates to your phone as well, which expands the attack surface that the bad guys can penetrate. Now, the interesting thing before blockchain, this is a connection, is that before blockchain, and still exists today, by the way, because blockchain is still maturing, is that data, which is the most valuable element that the attackers are trying to get to, this data about a person, whether it's their social security number, their name, their address, their phone number, or pure information that might be used to, like in espionage situations, transactions on it, mergers and acquisitions, like data can mean anything to anybody. It was centralized, and meaning centralized, like your bank, like your data is in mainframes and databases in a bank. And the bank literally tried to have these firewalls and fortresses around it to keep the bad guys out. Well, it was kind of easy. It's like Fort Knox. Everybody knew where everything was. If I can penetrate it, I can get to it. Blockchain is changing the entire structure to now decentralize that data so that there's not one single point of access that a bad guy can get to. And he or she, as a bad person, can, with malicious intent, might be able to get to a single piece, but they're not going to get to the mass that they want. And if you really think about cyber crime in general, regardless of the motivation, meaning whether it's state-sponsored or ideological or true crime, they are just like us on the good side. How much time to make how much money? What's my, is it even worth my effort? And so the blockchain has been a great transition of how data is stored to be more difficult and costly for the bad guys.
We talked about that last year, and what was really fascinating to me, and as you just stated right now, was the fact that they're like anybody else. We want to be efficient with our time, and we want to go for the home run. We want to go for the big institution, the government, a university, a large corporation, and attack that. When we have to take a lot more time to start addressing all of these millions of platforms, it's not as interesting to them and as time efficient. They can still come after, but it takes a lot more time and people to actually go after all of these, smaller versions of platforms and ways to attack. So this spreads it out. And I believe also one thing you said when we spoke last time is that whereas before blockchain, something hit us, a cyber criminal hacked our location or our business or our city government, you didn't know where that came from. Now, because of the transparency of a blockchain, you can pretty much expose who's trying to do that, correct?
That is correct. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Because the beautiful part about that blockchain is that each basically block that has a transactions inside it is kind of cryptographically connected to each other. And because of that, they see the chain of events. And so if you violate one, it's easily trackable to your point. And that's, again, all the bad guys want to go what we call in the industry low and slow. They do not want to be detected, right? They don't want to be chased. They don't want to be found. And this blockchain changes the game.
It's changed it. It's changing it. And we spoke 12 months ago, and a lot, and I'm understanding a lot has happened with blockchain. I know with CrowdPoint and the things that have just developed, and that's really a big characteristic of blockchain, is that whereas before technology was moving fast, blockchain now, where I think, when that old saying that says that we only tap into maybe 8 to 10% of our minds, and if we would just go to 15%, we would be considered a genius, and all that. I think from my perspective, we're just tapping into maybe 2 or 3% of what blockchain will become, and will become in a very short period of time, because how this whole technology has been designed to just build and change as you keep moving forward.
That's correct. That's a great point for all your listeners. It is a technology, just like the industry as a whole on databases went from paper, right, and punch cards and major mainframes in the 50s, 60s, to where it then became a database with Sybase and Oracle as brand names, as examples, who've been around now forever. And then it went to Amazon Web Services, putting that data in the cloud so it's more extensible and scalable, still using a lot of the same brand names as the baseline there, but now used and leveraged in a way that had never been able to be possible before, just due to the maturation of technology. And then now we got blockchain. And blockchain is, like, again, a fundamental structuring of that data. And I agree. So going to CrowdPoint as an example, when we talked last year, we were looking at it from a standpoint of, Ethereum and Bitcoin and all these coins that were on a blockchain. And if you think about the maturation of the power, it was just to show, frankly, that a blockchain, this they call it a distributed ledger, that can get a little confusing. It basically is just a way that transactions are held and bundled and recorded. And it was like, okay, great. Unlike the US dollar, as an example, right? The majority of fraud that goes on is like in the $100 bills and the $20 bills, because it's not trackable, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just you print it and you can't track it. And so a lot of fraud goes on in cash only. Mm-hmm. Well, blockchain changed a lot where, yes, people are like, well, digital coins, and you can't kind of see who's behind it. That's true. There's anonymity in that sense, but there's also total transparency of what that transaction is and what was used for. And so people are learning, is my point, on this technology. Now with CrowdPoint, it's gone beyond that to where now there's a whole marketplace that can be had, very much like Amazon's marketplace. There's a marketplace that's frankly safer and easier to be able to put your goods and services to get sold. So it works very behind the scenes, or excuse me, to the consumer, it works the same way. You're like, oh, I just want to buy this, put in my e-commerce and buy it. But behind the scenes, on how this is structured in the blockchain, it's much more flexible and much more versatile, in the sense that your data is secure. What you use to buy things are secure. It actually now has a coin, right? So now there's coins that you can collect and earn along the way. So it's now a combination of a marketplace and coins. The blockchain that CrowdPoint has as well is gone to where it now does financial transactions, like like truly a marketplace. I mean, you can buy and sell coins there like you do with, Coinbase and other things, but you do it in a different way here. But allows like true marketplace that is pretty phenomenal, to be honest, like the stock market. And it's continued to expand its capabilities as a technology. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing here, even with other blockchains that are kind of expanding. And my point being is, we're just on that, like you said, that 10%. I don't even know if we're there really from
Yep.
a
Yep. I totally agree. And for me, just the common folk, and I've shared this all along this journey of our programs is, my knowledge of technology was very, very small at the beginning. It's increased a little bit. And I'm never going to get there, but if in speaking with you and Sean and all the other leaders and influencers, I know that I'm learning as I want my audience to learn as well, because I want everyone to get the right information from the right people at the right time, so that you can make a decision on whether this is something you want to be involved with. And I recommend to everyone is to take a look at this with an open mind and learn as much as you can, and start taking those baby steps to get involved, because the fear has always been, I heard this, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, that, my God, if we don't have someone looking out for after us, taking care of us, that centralized body that was going to make sure that we were protected, we're totally exposed to the world. And one of the biggest fears of everyone are the cyber criminals. I'm exposing my information. Who's watching over this for me? And the beauty of this is we get to watch over this ourselves, because of the technology. And as things develop, I think people are feeling a little bit more comfortable, more excited. My question to you now, Greg, is, it seems to me that cyber criminals, this world of hacking and cyber security is never going to go away. It's like it's here to stay, right? Yeah. And once you think you've got everything covered, then these hackers come in a different direction at another level. And so we're always playing this catch-up game with them. What do you think is going on in the minds of these hackers right now as they're looking at all of this? Are they thinking, oh my God, I've got a problem now? Or do I have an opportunity to hack even more?
Oh, great question. I think, not being a hacker, but in our business, we track them, we monitor what is going on in that particular world, try to get inside the mind of the hacker. Where I think they're seeing, again, goes back to the economics we talked at first, which is there enough data and value for me to spend my time and effort to try to attack an entity that has a blockchain? In many cases, there are, by the way. There's lots of reports where even blockchains have been violated, where Bitcoins have been stolen, other digital currencies have been stolen from their blockchain, because frankly, that blockchain was not protected properly. And some of the same attacks that they use in what's called normal hacking, like phishing, right? I'm going to trick you to click on this link, and I'm going to get your credentials. So interesting enough, we all talk about blockchain being safe. It is, as long as you keep your key, your credentials, like safe. Right. And we've heard a lot of stories. Well, I lost it and I lost my Bitcoin. Right. That's a problem in and of itself. But if you're not careful and you get tricked into giving your credentials into a phishing attack, then they can again go in and try to use that to that the blockchain doesn't protect against per se as normal credential theft. There's a couple other ways that they're learning. So we're in a point where the hackers are not going to slow down. They're going to learn how to eventually find ways to penetrate certain elements of this. Now, the reason I bring that up is that the existing state of world affairs today and the data technology we have today has already been violated. That's why we see cyber attacks all over the place, breaking into, I'm going to talk about that single database where they can get it. the beautiful part is that by using a blockchain, like we said, is that it's distributed, it has to be consensus based, and it's also using cryptography. So 3 elements that just basically elevate that bar of difficulty for the attacker to even get access. And then, like you said earlier in the session here, they get recognized. They're recorded. They know who they are. So now the law enforcement of all types can go track them down and find them and get them, right? So it's a lot more of a deterrent. Now, on the other side, looks like blockchains are not just for good people, right? The power of the blockchain is an open platform that can be good for good and for evil. And on the evil side, a lot of the hackers are starting to figure out if they can also chain together, like, hundreds of thousands to millions of computers to enable certain types of cyber attacks. For example, a denial of service attack, which is when they just basically overflow a website or an access point, and basically just runs over any protection it has to gain access. And it usually has to be done with a lot of power, a lot of computing power. There's other ways that they can get in where they try to do identity flooding. So if you think about the elements of, again, blockchain, you've got an identity, right? It's anonymous, but you still have an identity. And so what the bad guys will do is use their blockchain to create just tons of identities, so to speak, fake ones, and crash the system as well. So, they're learning. We're in this leapfrog game that will never end. To your point, this industry has been very much a blessing to me. I got in when it was just a username and password back in the early 90s. And now it's, oh my gosh, it's all out, kind of Swiss Army knife of attacks and defense mechanisms. And so we're seeing this mature, but the next best step is this blockchain. And I think the key for all listeners and people is that's where the confidence should be, is that, what you got is already broken. So this is going to be the next phase of, in my opinion, the world on how data is stored and transferred. And so entities that are using this platform is an advantage to their customers, realistically, and the people that are using it. So it's a confidence factor on the user side, like yours and mine, when like, oh, is this a bank that's using a blockchain? Or is this a bank that's using, kind of the like you said, the central database? Because I want the blockchain bank personally, because it's a lot harder for them to steal my stuff. So we'll start seeing more things go that way. It's also faster, realistically. So a lot of things for just transactions and business in general. A blockchain is designed to basically transact elements faster than a current database. And so you're actually going to start seeing a lot of applications that are normal stuff that you do today, whether it's banking transactions, whether it's be computational efforts that academic institutions use to do mathematical calculations or store large pieces of data in general that they need to get access to. A lot of times in the real world, you put in a query and you ask, and you got to wait. Like, it could be everything from seconds to minutes to days to get that information. And the blockchain is going to be much quicker to be able to just be more efficient and effective in normal transactions.
I think the great news in all of this, and as we talked about a year ago, this is great news for every single one watching and listening to this broadcast. The fear of the not knowing, the not understanding is always going to raise a lot of red flags, and people are just going to pause. Now that we are, this is moving forward. This is not a one-hit wonder. This is not a fad. This is a new reality, and all indications suggest that this is going to be even bigger than the internet boom, because this could really, and it will take everything we do in our lives, business, family, and healthcare, whatever that might be, and just allow everyone to be on this and participate and benefit from all of this with something that I think is so important for everyone, is that confidence that they can go out there and do this. Greg, this has been phenomenal, my friend. Man, we can do one of these on a regular basis. I know you're extremely busy. The work, again, that you're doing with Sean and the whole team is off the charts, literally, because we don't know where it's at, but it's all coming together. But we really appreciate you taking the time, my friend. And we're going to have these conversations happening again very, very soon, buddy.
Sounds great, man. Well, I'll keep protecting the planet and doing the best I can on my side. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, we'll give everybody your hotline so they can call you when they have a little of that cybersecurity scare or bad moment in their life. My friend, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot. Have a great one.
God bless. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody, you saw firsthand Greg Fitzgerald share unbelievable information on what's going on in the world of cybersecurity and blockchain. The one operative word I think that we can all be feeling really good about is confidence. Confidence in this technology to help protect us in this world that will never stop. But again, it's something that we've got to be aware of, and we know that blockchain is going to do that just for us. I'm going to ask you to follow me on all my social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, Instagram. If you got a second, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Pete Delatorre. Thank you once again for being with us. Again, every week, blockchain talk. And again, we're going to do this together. We're going to learn and we're going to grow and take advantage of all the great opportunities. Have yourself a fantastic week. Take care and God bless.